This PSA was brought to you by The Peter G Show.
You may have second thoughts after the show.
Don't drink the positive. We're really talented. We should get Oscars.
Just pick out a car, for Christ's sake.
No, hi, my name is Peter.
Yeah, I want.
Here's good.
Yeah.
Madam Perry.
I need to get back in the genie bottle.
Louis from Pennsylvania, you're on.
He likes it.
It's showtime.
Peter G Show, Peter G Show, divorced dad, single dad, divorced dad, single dad, Peter G Show.
Remember that HHS whistleblower?
My goal is to inspire action to safeguard the lives of migrant children, including the staggering 85,000 that are missing. Today, children will work overnight shifts at slaughterhouses, factories, restaurants to pay their debts to smugglers and traffickers. Today, children will be sold for sex. Today, children will call a hotline to report they are being abused, neglected, and trafficked, and we don't know if they're going to get the help they need.
Because of the efforts of one whistleblower, listen to this.
So because one whistleblower came forward and because one organization was willing to tell the truth, I was able to then uncover and report that the U.S. government is the middleman in a large-scale, multi-billion-dollar child trafficking operation. We literally have government-sponsored, taxpayer-funded child trafficking.
Send this to everybody you know who wants to keep the border open. This is absolutely atrocious.
That's right, folks. It's real. It's going on right before your very eyes. I'm just bringing up this little PSA reminder because we live in a world that we're so caught up in what we're doing, we don't really understand what's going on around us, and that's a big problem. Nor do a lot of people even want to know what's going on, which leads me to remind you, don't forget about this movie, Sound of Freedom. The box office I saw on TV the other night, they're raving about Barbie and all this mindless baloney, and you got a movie like this that is crushing it. They're killing it because people want to see the truth. And they don't say a word about it in the media because this movie was not funded by the mainstream media, and they're killing it. So please do yourself a favor, get in check in reality about the things that are going on. These things are happening to people's children, could be your children. Go see this movie. Just wanted to mention that again as I do weekly for right now because I just want to bring some awareness. Quick little PSA. How the hell is everybody? Welcome. Thank you for tuning in with Life with Peter G, The Peter G Show, every Wednesday, like clockwork, 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, and 9 p.m. on the East Coast. God willing, I will be here. I'll be here for you. Love me or hate me, I'll be here. I get a lot of love. Speaking of a lot of love, I hope you enjoyed last week's show. I had Miss Laura Wellington on. She's another one who was a author who wrote a book about her husband and passing away, and she became a widow at 35 years old, raising 5 children. Great book that she wrote, very brings you down to earth. And now she's a writer, blogger, and she's speaking her mind about what's going on around our world, and because she's concerned. And so that was a great conversation. So if you missed that show last week, it's on demand. Go find it. It's on YouTubes and BitChutes and Rumbles, Facebooks, LinkedIn, you name it. Easy to find. Go check it out. She was good. It was great to catch up with her. Speaking of great to catch up with, tonight, coming up in just a few short minutes, right here, California family law attorney. She's got children's books out too, which I didn't get to talk to her about the last time. But and as far as I'm concerned, she's really starting to become very vocal about children and humanity and common decency in this world. And that's why she's on. She's coming back. She's been on this show 3.5 years ago when we were just starting out, basically, in the live stuff. And she's going to be here. Family law attorney, Miss Kelly Chang Rickert, is going to be on the show. And again, boy, do I have questions. A lot of catching up to do. A lot happens in these past few years. A lot of change, both good and bad for people. So she was kind enough to come on tonight, and we're going to catch up with her. Also, next week, just mark it on your calendars as always. August 23rd, investigative journalist, author, television news contributor, and she's got her own podcast called Gulf Coast Confidential, True Crime. She looks up, crime stories and things, unsolved murders, and speaks for those who cannot speak for themselves. Miss Molly Barrows is going to be on the show next week, Wednesday, August 23rd, right here, and that's going to be another good show because she's got a lot to give as well, and that's what we do. We share stories because one person's story could help another person, and I'm a true believer in that. I also believe everything happens for a reason, and that's why we're all here. But don't miss that next week. What we got going on? Just a reminder, please, got nothing going on, take a minute, go over to my YouTube channel. They've crushed me over there. They're making it so difficult for me to be seen. But if you go there, look up Peter G Show and just hit the subscribe button. I will truly appreciate it because the algorithms will change if we could rebuild that channel. But it's been a bitch. I'm not going to lie about it, and it still is. And I'm getting crushed all the way around, getting throttled back for talking about things that maybe that they don't want us to talk about, but I can't help it. If I don't, shame on me. And also, those of you who like to watch the show but are busy on the road driving, if you live in congested areas, you have a long commute to and from work, Google Peter G Show podcast. Put an earbud in your ear right there. You can take the show on the road with you with over 300 shows now. There's something for everybody, but it's the next best thing to watching. I really try to be aware that sometimes there's a lot of people who love podcasts and they listen, but sometimes this show is very visual, and I try to keep that in check to where I could get the message across through the audio podcast. But I promise you, you'll get something out of whether you take it audio wise or visually. There's something there, and you'll be glad that you did. But like I said, please go do that too. But the YouTube is, I don't know why they're picking on me, but they are, and they're not letting up. So go do that. All right, here's what's going to happen. In just about a minute or two, we are going to come back with Miss Kelly Chang Rickert, California family law attorney. But first, we're going to hear from my good friends at Clean Star Products with their money-saving fuel additive DX1 driver, and I'll see you in a minute.
Hello, I'm Tyrone Thompson of CleanStarProducts.com. This is DX1 Driver in the news, and here's what our friends have to say.
So I'm here to recap on the DX1 I've used. I put it in the oil and I put it in the gas. While I'm using it just for about 3 tanks. Cleaned everything out. I got every ounce of power back in my truck.
When Jared's truck was new, it had a lot of power. Then over time, it began to slow down. He got it all back with our DX1 driver program.
Something you got to see for yourself. It's a great product. It's affordable. And it blows all the other additives and esters out of the water.
DX1 driver is the finest oil in the world from a California environmental company. It goes into the fuel system and the oil. It's the only green grade product qualified for the carbon credits program, giving you better fuel mileage, lower emissions, and increased horsepower. So join the fuel savings revolution today. Go to CleanStarProducts.com/shop.
That's right, folks. Clean Star Products. All I can tell you is they have a product that actually works. Let's face it, gas is expensive. Cars, super expensive. Save money. This little bitty fuel additive. Put this in a clean oil change. Last the whole oil change, and every time you fill up your tank, you just put this little bottle in your fuel tank, and it cleans out everything, gives you more horsepower, less emissions, cleaner emissions, way better fuel economy, up to 10%. It just makes sense to save money. If you got questions, go talk to them over at Clean Star Products. Go to www.cleanstarproducts.com, and they'll talk to you. They're good people, and again, they know what I do, and they still sponsor me. So God bless them. It's all good. All right, listen, I want to thank everybody, especially the people who are commenting already. Hey, Paul, my IT department. My IT department, my maintenance department. He wears a lot of hats. Anyway, all right, the moment I've been waiting for, and I think you have been too. We're going to get right to it here in a second. It's been 3.5 years since this woman has been on my show. She was kind enough 3.5 years ago, and we did it by phone. It was a different time, different period. And again, and then we lose track. Everybody's busy. Life is busy. Life is definitely busy. She leads a very busy life too, but she's very active in many things, and we're going to talk about it. But again, I don't know. I saw a comment because I still follow her. I follow all my guests, and we just kind of reconnected real quick, and all of a sudden it was like, boom! Now she's coming on my show again, which I'm super happy about. But I want to welcome to the show real quick. Again, she's a family law attorney here in California. She's a children's book author. As far as I'm concerned, she's been getting very vocal about children's rights and human rights and just, common decency and common sense, period. And she's been talking a lot about it. So we kind of cross paths because we're all talking about this stuff because I think we all want a better life. But without further ado, I'm going to bring on to the show, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Kelly Chang Rickert. How are you, Kelly?
Great. That was an awesome fanfare.
Yeah, nothing but the best. We got a little monkey. In the corner. That's
awesome.
Yeah, listen, I want to tell you again. I know I just said it, but I want to tell you personally that I don't know how and why we got that you're on the show again, but I'm really glad because I've always been a fan of yours. And I forgot to mention before I brought you on. Again, too much going on and no teleprompter, but. The greatest thing that got me attracted to you when I found you on LinkedIn many, many years ago and you've registered the trademark now. Kelly has a trademark for her law practice is marriage is grand, divorce $100,000. And funny, but sad true. I think you more than anybody know. If you get out for $100,000, I think you're kind of lucky, because divorce is expensive.
Yes,
it's not getting any better. But let's go backwards. You started out. I brought you on because again, when I first originally started this show, it was all about surviving divorce and single parenting, and and that was a big deal to me because a lot of people, as you know, as an attorney, don't really know how to handle it their first time around, and they panic and they're calling you every 10 seconds and the bill gets run up and they're pissed off and they're running off of emotions. And you were giving your perspective as to how everybody survives all that and the money that an expense that goes to waste over emotions. But since then, life has gotten kind of complicated. We've had this pandemic and gone through all kinds of things and talking, I swore I'd never be talking pretty much about religion and politics, but it's gotten nearly impossible because of what's going on. Things I've never seen in my lifetime or even a lot of my parents' lifetime, I think. When you went through the pandemic, what went on with your business, with your business? Slower or got even more busy?
I think it probably stayed about the same.
Really?
And that's the problem with divorce is that the economy's good, everyone divorces. The economy's bad, everyone files for divorce. So I think, in a lot of cases, I think my profession is recession proof, which is really sad. Why I chose to kind of leave it. I don't really do much divorce these days anymore.
Really?
Yeah, just out of my faith.
Okay. But okay, because here's the thing. I was still speaking to attorneys. I like having an attorney on once in a while. It's a reality check because for everybody who's healing, there's somebody, 5 coming through the door. Unfortunately, it's inevitable. It's just kind of the way of life. Nobody, I don't think with intentions wants to get divorced, but stuff happens. I was talking to attorneys, and when everybody got grounded and was more indoors, they were telling me that a lot of times divorces don't start till after the holidays and things like that. And they, like, the people will hang on and wait until, like with kids.
So I don't agree with this notion that divorce just happens. I mean, it takes two people. And I honestly think that divorce shouldn't be happening as liberally as it does. I mean, you and I both know there's a lot of crap going on out there. Yeah. There is an enemy out there. He's trying to steal parental rights. He's trying to mutilate children. And honestly, I think parents should be staying together. If you have minor children, right now is the time to work on your marriage, because there's a lot of evil going out there in this world. And I don't think you guys should be fighting each other.
I'm with you.
Yep.
I'm with you. I found, or at least this is what I was hearing, because I was still asking a lot of questions. I found a lot of people were saying, more people were home, they're under one roof, and everybody was getting on everybody's nerves more. Now, to me, I don't know. I like spending time with the person who I want to be with, but it doesn't always work. Look, it takes two people to get married. I think I said this 3.5 years ago to you. It takes two people to get married.
But even if you're on each other's nerves, that doesn't give you the right to divorce when you have minor children.
I'm with you.
Everybody gets on everybody's nerves. And especially after COVID, when you're locked up, people have lost their sense of social skills. They have absolutely zero social skills. They only have online friends. They don't know how to deal with people with different opinions. And it's just become this vacuum. You live in your own echo chamber. Liberals and conservatives. Everybody doesn't know how to disagree in love. And, honestly, I don't think people should be divorcing half as much as they do.
I get it. But we're living in a 15-minute world. I don't think they realize the consequences or don't care about the consequences. I don't get it. I don't know. I didn't get married to get divorced, but at a certain point, it only took one person to say, I want a divorce. And I didn't have really much to say in it, even though at the end of the day, probably did me a favor because it was bugging me from the inside out. But I tried. Yeah. But sometimes it's a one-way street. What do you do?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like sometimes, everything is no fault, so you can get served with divorce papers.
But let's go back. What happened to you when the pandemic? What changed in your life? Because when I was talking to you, you were you did divorces and you did adoptions and things like that, and that was where we left off with. In fact, I did not even know, because again, I was turned on by your slogan, and that's what attracted me to you, because I said, okay, you're kind of funny, cool. I want to talk to you as a counselor. And I didn't know that you're like the Tabloids, Entertainment Tonight, Inside Edition. You're like their go-to girl, or were, for opinions on, celebrity separations and all that kind of stuff. I had no idea.
Let's talk about my trademark, okay? So, okay. I have this little quirky marriages grand, divorce $100,000. So a long time ago, I came up with that trademark because I thought it would discourage people from divorce. Because what else can discourage people from spending so much money, right? It's like nobody wants to shell out $100,000. And then I realized there's people that actually brag about how much money they spend in divorce.
Oh, there's nothing.
There's men out there, they use it as a pickup line. So it's like, oh, I spent $2 million on my divorce. It's like they use it like as a medal. And so I started like becoming even more vocal against divorce. So it used to be like a cheeky marriage is grand, divorce $100,000. And then I realized people were bragging about it. These days, I'm really vocal about how if you have minor children and you have minor annoyances, you should not be divorcing. So I march, people will come to me. I'll give them my, I talk a lot of people out of divorce. Does that mean that I lose business? Yeah, I don't care. Yeah. If you can work it out, you should. You should not be in a divorce attorney's office. You should be in a therapist. You should be going to church. You should be doing everything you can, reading the Bible, praying together to keep your family together. I honestly believe that.
I'm with you. Like I said, the kids, I thought it was going to be a disaster, and it kind of, I scaved a little bit better, but I know, in fact, you know what? My daughter's even a fan of yours. My daughter started following you about 3 years ago, unbeknownst to me, and she still does. And now she's almost 18, but she was 3 years old when we separated, and I thought it was going to be horrendous because we're you're splitting the child in half.
Yeah, it's always so weird when people say that they're a fan because, I'm Christian. And so the only thing you should be seeing in me is Christ. So like, I just try to demonstrate the love of Jesus in everything that I do. But I'm not, Jesus he isn't this weak figure. He had tremendous love and he conquered death. And so, I think whatever people see in me, I want them to see Jesus. It's like, stand for the truth. There is an absolute truth and a law that you should be following, and you should never depart from that law. And so if I read in God's word, believers should not be in lawsuits. So if there's a Christian couple, they should not be suing each other. Why? Because 1 Corinthians 6 says that if you are suing each other, you've already lost. And to be in the courts of the non-believers, come on. So, we have higher standards, and I always tell people when they're like, I'm a fan of yours, I'm like, then you're a fan of Jesus, because I'm trying to present Jesus through everything that I say and do.
However you want to put it. I mean, I think that she just could relate to a lot of your shorts, clips. You were making a lot of clips. I don't know how you find the time, because you got 2 kids too that are growing very rapidly as well. And you had a business and you have a family. And I don't know, she followed you. Let's put it that way. And I guess she liked what you had to say, and even though I think that she's come out pretty level considering of what kind of damage divorce does, I'm better. I got off better. I mean, she did much better than most do.
Okay.
But I still know there's something down there that, I mean, nobody wants that. Nobody wants divorce. The kids want to see their parents together. But we forget. We would have died for each other, and then you want to kill each other at the end of the whole thing. And it kind of stinks. But
I think a lot of my advice in my videos are anecdotal. And anecdotal means that there's really no evidence. It's just what I've seen. I mean, divorce cases are all different. I've seen, I don't know, tens of thousands of different cases. But I just, I always caution people, like, what happens in this case may not happen in your case. And we'll talk about this later. The laws in California are changing. And so just because it's legal here in California doesn't mean that you should be doing it, like mutilation of children. Okay, so like here we have a law that if you are age 12 and over, you do not need your parents' consent to go and change your body. Okay, so clearly California is making laws that are totally terrible for people, totally goes against God's law. And so I usually tell people, like, if you're going to know what's right and wrong, you got to start with God's law, because he makes the laws. Humankind now has been years, for centuries, trying to legalize what's wrong. I don't know if you heard about SB 14. So there was this, they were trying to pass a law to try to make human trafficking a 3-strike offense. And so the Democrats came in and didn't want that. I don't know why.
Don't understand.
They don't think human trafficking is a felony. I don't know. I don't know why they did that. I actually blogged about this, but so my point is, the laws now are changing. And just because it's okay to do X, Y, Z under the law doesn't mean that it's morally okay. And where should you derive your morals? From reading the Bible.
Well, this is where the common sense, I think, comes in too. It doesn't take a brain surgeon to figure out, like, human trafficking, not so great. That can't be a good idea.
I don't think you should. I mean, there's going to come a time where itching ears are going to hear what they want to hear. And so it should never be common sense, because right now, common sense doesn't dictate in California. During COVID, they didn't shut down strip clubs. No, not at all. They shut down churches. How is that common sense? And children cannot consent to sex. They cannot. The age of consent is 18. And yet they can go and get an abortion. There's abortion pills sold, and they can just go and get it. So how do you say that you can't consent to sex, and yet you can absolutely consent to the consequence of sex? I don't get that. And there's still fetal murder laws in California, which means if a woman who's pregnant goes into an abortion clinic with every intention of killing her baby, she gets off scot-free. However, on the way to the abortion clinic, if somebody comes and shoots her and her baby dead, he gets charged with 2 counts of murder. So, on the way to an abortion clinic, if somebody shoots you, he gets charged with 2 counts of murder. The aborting person gets away with nothing, and the abortionist who's actually killing the baby gets away with nothing, with no counts of murder. So tell me how any of that makes sense in California. It doesn't.
California is a whole. Look, this we both live in California, and I got to tell you that if it wasn't for my daughter still being here, so I got about 3 more years with her before she goes to college, and she's going to go away to college somewhere. But there's no. This place is going. I don't understand it. They are just destroying this beautiful. We got great weather.
They are.
And it's going. Why would you want to? Well, I do know why, but I mean, it's going to hell. It's just going to crap, and we're just having to foot the bill for this. The crash, smash and grabs. I mean, all the crime that's going on. It's just not worth it to hang out and still be in this state.
We are in hell. I mean, California isn't going to hell. California is hell, and it's terrible what's happening to the state. I want to leave every single day.
Yeah, well, we're getting all one step closer because and there's a part of me that's like, because I love the great parts that we still have left of it, but you're weighing the odds, and the financial aspect of living in this state is just, I mean, I know I have a reason, and I'm having, it's a bad business decision, but I'm doing a moral decision to still stay as close to my daughter as I can while I still have her. But there's no need for me to be here. This show can be done from anywhere, especially nowadays. I mean, some of the biggest shows are being done out of Nashville and in different places. And I have great roots down in Florida that I love being at. And it's like, but I have a daughter that's here because she has a mother here, and so I made that decision. But the state, our governor he's just dive bombing us. It's ridiculous.
It's interesting because he's passing all these laws about all this horrible stuff that can be taught in public school. And I just read a report. Gavin Newsom's 3 kids go to private school.
Yeah.
So he's passing all these laws, which are hiding information from parents, so he's twisting all the law. There's laws protecting privacy of students, but generally it's protecting their privacy against third parties. So, like intruders, stuff like that, not against parents. And so Gavin Newsom is rewriting or misinterpreting the law to try to say that students have privacy rights against their own parents. It's totally wrong. And so, unfortunately, we have to drag him to court. It's going to take years and years and years, but there's no law out there. The constitutional law of this land says that parents have the absolute right to know what is in their children's education, what is happening to them in school. We have an absolute right. Gavin Newsom is saying we don't. He's wrong. Just like he was wrong for shutting down the churches, just like he was wrong for shutting down the schools. He gets away with everything.
Yeah, he doesn't practice what he preaches. He's got it different. It's different for him. It's different for us.
Absolutely. That's why he was eating at French Laundry when the rest of us were stuck at home and unable to operate our businesses. But he was able to have a $70,000 dinner with his colleagues.
Yeah. Well, again, I think it's pretty well known, but why they keep voting for him, I don't think. I know we have a lot of people that are fairly well off in California, but that's a small percentage compared to the normal people. California is a big state, but yet they keep on voting him in. And I just think some people are just hell bent just because they go with that whole Democrat or Republican. It's like, I don't
know who's voting for him, though. That's the thing. It's like for the recall, every single one of my friends, liberal and conservative, voted to recall him. So I don't know who is actually voting for him. I guess people that watch CNN and I, I don't watch CNN because it's all propaganda. But I don't know who's voting for him, honestly.
I have just recently discovered that back in the Obama days, there was some law that prohibited, because were you familiar with Sharon Tay? She used to be a news anchor on Channel 5.
I know Sharon.
She was on my show several years ago too, right after she lost her job as a news anchor. And I brought her on. She lost
her job?
Oh yeah, that was 3 years ago.
Why did she lose her job?
Come on, they cut back. Let's not pay. Let's get somebody cheaper. The whole deal. They cut her. They cut her. They cut one of the veteran news weather personnel, and they did some budget cutting, and so she's no longer on the air anymore. And I asked her straight up. I said, "Do you believe in the news that you're talking about?" And she said, "Oh, absolutely." I said, "Why is that?" She says, "Well, we can't lie. We would get sued if we, put out." This was 3 years ago, before this really started getting crazy. Well, I come to find out, and I don't remember the name of the law, and I had even somebody telling me on comments last week, there was a law that prohibited the United States for doing propaganda, like doing third world country, Iran, and, misinformation. You had to, pretty much stay within the boundaries of somewhat of the truth. And Obama repealed that law. And that's when everything just started getting crazier and crazier. The news media, they just say whatever they want to say, and there's no repercussions. But us as people are still buying into what we grew up to know, that the news is supposed to be our go-to place to trust and get the news from. So you can't blame most people. Brainwashing has really, it's true. So you don't know what to believe. There's so much crap out there, and if you say it long enough, it becomes the truth. So people don't know what to believe anymore. So
I read Epic Times. I think they're truth. And you can't watch CNN. And you can't read the Washington Post. Those two are just blatant lies.
People are sold on it, though. They believe in CNN, and they say Fox. Those guys are idiots. And I'm on the fence because, again, they pitter patter, and sometimes they're cool, and sometimes they're bowing to the companies BlackRock that own them. But look, I hear what you're saying, but I can get somebody that will say, you're crazy, Kelly. You just, that's the biggest bunch of baloney. And then, we're so divided.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what the truth is anymore. And that's the problem. Not nobody.
Well, I just usually on my blog, I encourage people to read the law. There's AB 957, there's AB 665. These are the bills that are being passed in the state of California. So like in my blog, I post the text of the bill. I post the legislative history. I actually read it, and so there's no propaganda. Like, this is literally what's happening in the state of California. So.
Okay. But do you see that most people will not take the time? They're headline readers. If it's put out there on a sentence, or they read the first sentence of the news or what, and that's it. It's like, well, that's what they said, so it's got to be true. Nobody goes.
Yeah,
the truth is out there.
I would caution against that. I think you're right. I think a lot of people will just read the headlines, or they'll just listen to their little CNN, and then they'll think that, none of this is happening. Like, a lot of times people are like, oh, they're not, cutting off the breasts of healthy 14-year-old girls. So I'm like, okay, read about Chloe Cole. There's 2 lawsuits against Kaiser for removing the healthy breast tissue. So basically, like, these girls are identifying as boys, and very quickly their mental health physicians will write them a prescription or whatever. So they'll start on the puberty blockers, and then at 14, they'll get a double mastectomy. So that's a removal of their healthy breast tissue. So they will be like, yes, you're right, you're a boy. But none of them are getting they're not getting adequate counseling. And this has actually happened to one of my friend's nieces. So I do actually personally know minors who are getting double mastectomies. And so a lot of people are like, the conservative news outlets are reporting this is happening. It's not happening. I'm like, there's literally 2 lawsuits against Kaiser Permanente right now for removing the healthy breasts of minor girls. So who are now detransitioning. So basically they thought they were boys, they removed their breasts, and now they're detransitioning. So this is actually happening. It's not, people are like, I don't want to read it. I'm like, I'm posted the lawsuits for you, and the lawsuits have the statement of facts and the allegations. So you should read it. It's happening.
I can't say that at 15 years old or even 18 years old. I mean, I remember, it's like, we're just crazy. I mean, we're not crazy. We're just kids. It's making a decision and allowing somebody to make a decision at that age, a sensible decision of that mass, of that. That's crazy. It's just insane. And
it's crazy. And there is an agenda, because there is something, the LAUSD, they had this whole agenda called Queer All Year, and it was posted right on their website. And it was like, 365 days of queer. There is completely an agenda. And my kids never went to public school, but even at the private school that they were at before, it was a woke private school, and they very much had transgender people come and talk to elementary school kids about binders, they were totally doing that. I have the emails I don't know how people can say this isn't happening when it literally is happening. Genderqueer, people should buy that book and read it. It's a comic book for elementary school kids. It depicts comics of blowjobs and, very inappropriate things for first grade and second graders. I can understand if, high schoolers see it, but this kind of stuff is not appropriate for 7 or 8 year olds. Not at all. Not even, I think, for middle schoolers.
I just think kids are way too influenceable. It's too
impressionable.
Easy. Yeah, impressionable. There you go. Sorry, I had to use a bigger word.
That's okay. They should not be seeing this stuff. It's porn. Yeah. It's pornography, and they should not be seeing this.
It's just stupid. And for the 1% of the 1% that we're having to bow to because they're screaming as so loudly, and people are accepting sheep. And it just bothers me. I have no problem if somebody's truly gay, or
I don't either.
Yeah. Just be gay. But the thing is that
I have a gay family member. I love him. This is not about anti-LGBT.
No,
this is about parents' rights. We did not send our kids to school to view pornography, and we never will. No parent will agree with that. There's a group called Gays Against Groomers. Have you ever heard of them? They're gay. They're against grooming of children. It's so simple. And these people, so Glendale Unified, the parents there are horrified at what's being taught at the schools. So they had a rally, and who showed up? Antifa. Antifa didn't even have kids. I'm like, you people don't even have kids, and you're showing up at a school board meeting. Yeah. It's mind blowing.
It's sad. Again, this shouldn't be their kids. Let kids be kids and let that stuff, but it is, this is the agenda that's being pushed. And again, I'm Greek. I don't care. Do I have to go around screaming? It's like, you need to be Greek or you need, I want you to be Greek too. It's like, who cares? It's like, we just want to, they're doing a good job of really, again, raising hell, dividing us. But our youths, they are really putting in so much nonsense into their heads that God bless them coming up for the next generation that's going to try to run this place if we don't start straightening it up, because they have no sense. Everything is about just the most woke
I'm a
stuff.
big proponent of homeschooling. I think people should homeschool if they can. If not, they should go to a Christian school. And then before you put them in, because actually in LA, there are certain Christian schools that are not really that Christian, and they bow down to the woke agenda. So you have to really research what type of schools your kids are going to go to if they're going to go to school. Move out of state. I love Florida. I love Texas. I think if you have school age children and you can't afford to homeschool them or send them to private Christian schools that are really Christian, move out of state. That's what I would do.
But no, I don't think we ever had this problem before. I mean, you never had to worry about this kind of stuff. And now it's just these past 5-8 years or whatever, it's just getting worse and worse to where it's just getting blatantly in your face. And they're just saying, screw you, we're going to do what we want with your kids. And that doesn't fly. Governor, you see her, she's the governor of South Dakota, Governor Nome. Have you, you know who she is? Mm-hmm. She's really, I think she's super cool because she's got a state and she's trying to get people to move to South Dakota, that they'll take you in, they'll give you, all kinds of incentives for working there and this and that. But, not everybody can just pack up and move. It's just not that simple. And that's, again, it's a shame because California's a really cool place, but they're just administratively and financially just burning everything to the ground. There's just nothing, and it's just really, really sad. I don't know. Let me ask you something, because I asked you before that I did not know that you were like the go-to girl for the TV and media. Have you gotten out of all that, or are you still doing any of that?
No, I still do that. Usually when there's a celebrity divorce, they call me in and I give my 2 cents because, I did it for 20, 23, 24 years.
I didn't know. I honestly, when we had that last conversation 3.5 years ago, I don't know how, but I was completely clueless of that part of you. I just found you on LinkedIn and liked you. And
so I've been on TV for a very long time, and it's usually the same thing: celebrity divorce, blah blah blah. I don't even know why celebrities get married, because their divorce is so sensationalized, and they're suffering, right? I don't know why anybody should glamorize divorce, but they do. And so these studios call me in, and then I
How
just
did
say
that
my
start?
two cents.
How did you get started for because not everybody gets to go do that, and it helps. So I mean, financially or business wise, how did you start on that?
I don't know. They just called me in like 20, 30 years ago. I was part of some show that Chris Harrison was on. And so he interviewed me a bunch of times. And so, yeah, I it's just a talking head.
Well,
It's not anything big.
No, it's not. But look, there's within a 20-mile radius, how many family law attorneys do you think there are, just even from you? And
Hundreds.
So, that's what I'm saying.
We're a dime a dozen.
But that's the thing. There's tons of attorneys, but yet you ended up being that girl on that, to do that. And at the time, I'm sure it was, great. I mean, as time changes, you start getting different perspectives and things change. So, but I can't believe I didn't know that part about you up until finding out to get you on this show and redigging again. I'm going, holy crap, I had no idea. I may have watched you on TV and didn't even realize it. You know what I mean?
Well, I think that God picked me for a very special reason that I'm hoping he will reveal soon. But I think
things change. Let's talk about some change. When over the past with this whole pandemic and everything, what would you say changed the most about you and what you're doing? Because when I talked to you, it was just about the start of
my faith.
Really? How did you get deeper and why?
So I don't know if you know much about Apostle Paul. He used to go around killing Christians. And I mean, I wasn't doing that, but I definitely, during COVID, God spoke to him, and on his road to Damascus, he completely changed his beliefs, everything. He just abandoned everything to serve Jesus, to preach Jesus to the Gentiles. And so I think that's very much what happened to me during COVID. I think it started a lot with like woke schools and then what my children were going through. I think woke schools torture kids. I think a lot of these kids, they're in 5th, 6th grade, they're struggling with so much, it's identity. I think kids, they go through this place and they're like, I don't know who I am. And so they're so vulnerable. And now they're questioning SOGI. SOGI is short for sexual orientation, gender identity. Their identity is not rooted in sexuality, and if they make it that way, they become prey for the traffickers. And so basically you see like the bigger picture is that the government and everybody's they're trying to force sexuality down kids' throats. And all it does is make them prey to this, the sexual predators. And so then it's like an extra layer. It's like, okay, so why are we not punishing sexual predators, but making it easier? There was a law that was like passed it was authored by Scott Wiener. And it was like trying to decriminalize or like less criminalize.
Yeah.
You heard about that law, right? Like sex with a minor.
I'm up on everything.
Right. So it was something like if the minor consents, and we both know minors can't
have
consent.
No brain. Yeah,
right. They have the frontal cortex is not developed yet. So it's all this like, why are we sexualizing our kids? But back to the original story. So I had this like road to Damascus, and I just realized like, I want to serve God. I want to preach Jesus. And it's not, I don't know if like it's my duty to like change people, but I do think it is my duty as the Great Commission to make sure that the truth is preached, and it's up to you if you want to receive the Holy Spirit. But if you don't, I still have to tell it. And so I think I just completely changed, and I totally am against divorce. If you're going to do it and it's amicable, then I make a concession, but I really don't want to. And so I started learning adoptions and like building families. And I'm a professor now at a law school. So I'm just like trying to do, eventually I just want to leave divorce altogether, because I honestly think the fight is out there. We are as parents fighting the state, there's just so many bigger battles than like within the home. And I just think the family unit is so important right now, and I shouldn't be part of like the dismantling of it. So
you were an attorney for how many years?
I'm still an attorney, 24 years.
But I mean, solid, like going at it, client as your main, you're kind of shifting. I know you'll always be an attorney, I guess, but the thing is, when you were going strong, as that was your job, that's what you did. How many years, would you say, before you started shifting gear now these past couple of years?
I'd say 21 years, because COVID, it was really during COVID that I think I started reading the Bible more and going to church, and just really like, I have like faith. And so I would say like 3 years ago, life started changing for me.
I think 3 years ago, it started changing a lot of people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
COVID put the scare, I guess the fear of God in people, but in a bad way. I mean, they shut everybody in their houses because you believed, who do you trust? Who do you trust or no? And now, I mean, I'm still out taking walks, and I got people with masks on, and I there's just so much going on in people's heads, and there's not a whole lot you can do. I mean, if you push it too hard, they're gonna shun you. So you just got to drip and hope that maybe you catch one along the way. I don't know, but
I'm not opposed to people wearing masks. I think, some people want to wear masks. I just leave them alone. I think where I get a little sad is when I see little children being masked. My heart breaks because they don't want that thing over them.
No.
And so that's where, and you see them and they have like breathing problems. And so sometimes like kids with asthma, my heart really I'm like, don't mask kids. But with adults, I don't care. I see people driving in their cars. I'm fine with that. It doesn't bother me at all. I mean, I would want to see people's faces. There's so much expression in a face, right? So I want to see people's faces, but I don't know.
Kelly,
I don't really care about masks.
Kelly, but to me, it's more than just the mask. It's the mentality behind the mask, because there's more to it than just that mask that's covering the face, which carries on with the rest of the whole big picture, I think, in a lot of ways. Now,
it's definitely funny. Like my family, we took a flight to Texas, and it's so funny. It's like on the way there, everybody just ripped off their masks. So the flight was like unmasked. And then like when we were flying back, it was like everybody just obediently put it on. And, it's like, it's so stupid. I'm like, it clearly doesn't work because there's not like a spike of COVID in Texas, right? Or Florida. And California doesn't not have COVID because people are wearing masks. So it's kind of dumb, but whatever. If it makes you feel comfortable, I want to,
it's just the mentality of the whole thing, the brainwashing, what you've been told, and they scared the hell out of it. Everybody coming over the border, nobody's got masks, or if they have masks, or anything like that. But
I know they're on their like 7th booster now.
Yeah, is there 7? I thought there was 11, but okay.
Is it 11? I got Johnson & Johnson, and I got boosted once. And then they like discontinued it. So I was like, all right. And I did get COVID, which was like, not that bad for me. We all got sick in the past. I mean, but again, but there are some people that died of COVID. So I don't know. I'm not one of these like people that are like COVID's a conspiracy. Well, I think there was COVID, and there's some people that
Of course there was, but I question, especially people in hospitals. I'm sorry, and that's what got my show banned. Having a doctor on this show that told exactly why people were dying in hospitals, and they're still following that protocol on the treatment of it. And the treatment was worse than the actual, and it's proven. And I got to get him back on the show because I want to know what's going on with that whole thing, because there's got to be people that got to pay the price for what they were doing. But
there were doctors that got COVID. Remember, they were risking their lives on the front line. And then like later, I think they were fired for not wanting the shot because they already had COVID. So they already had natural immunity. So there I'm kind of like, wait a second, you sacrificed your life, to be on the front line getting COVID. And now you have immunity, and now you lost your job because you won't get a shot. That makes no sense to me.
None of it made any sense.
Because there is such thing as natural immunity, right? That's better than a shot.
I got Fauci. I got Fauci on video right now saying that years ago, and all of a sudden you need 18 shots and 14 masks. And
I don't get that.
I don't want to get. Yeah, the thing is, I've had police from LA that have lost their jobs, and firemen and all that because of the same thing, and it's just a shame. But again, this is the world we're living in over here in California, more so than a lot of places. Look, the thing is, if you're going to wear a mask, at least wear it properly. I was somewhere that was in a health environment yesterday, and they're wearing the mask under their nose. So I'm going, that's where I really get upset. I'm going, what the hell? Why bother? Unless they're spitting when they're talking. Okay. Then, then you should wear a mask because you spit when you talk. But again, it's the mentality of the whole thing. I just wanted to know how things changed in your world. You're married for quite some time now, right?
16, 17 years, something like that.
You're a little bit of an unusual case because I just recently found this out too. You got married kind of quick, right?
Mm-hmm.
That blows those kind of things blow my mind because not only did you get married real fast, you're happy and you're still married.
Yeah.
And, well, I know, like, sure, who wouldn't be, but that, you know what I mean?
My husband he's a God-loving man and he has led our family spiritually. And I honestly think that that's the secret, is having Jesus in your marriage. And I know nobody ever wants to talk about Jesus. And I get it. Actually, I don't get it, but I always try, and then every single time they cut it. But that is the secret. Our marriage was not on solid ground until we both put Jesus as our foundation, and now it's good. So
not everybody can have that combination. I mean, as much as they want or try. All I'm saying is, when I got friends and they're saying, yeah, we're getting ready to celebrate our 43rd anniversary, and it's like gold stars. I mean, I think I'm envious because I think deep down everybody wants that, but it just doesn't always happen, and you can have, I always wanted to have like the God show or the Jesus show, and it's like, come and say hello, my son, and but I just can't seem to book him. He's busy.
He's never busy. You can pick up the book of John. I encourage.
On this show, I want him on this show. Hey, we're opening the phone lines. What's on your mind?
You pick up the Bible. It's his words are in red, and when I read that thing, it's like he's talking to me. Just right then and there.
I grew up from 15 years old on. I grew up in the Gulf Coast of Florida, and there's a lot of Bible thumping over there. You'd come out of a club at night or down, and they're standing on the corners screaming at the top of their lungs, with Bibles in their hands. And, it's got its pros and cons. To me, I think there's a better approach than that. But, so you're the whole Bible Belt. I mean, you're preaching to the choir. I've been through it all, and I think I have accountability. I do, but I slip it in there. I just try to. You're not going to see me on the street corner screaming at people that they're going to hell.
I have read a lot of self-help books.
Yeah.
The Bible is seriously the best self-help book. Like, there is no topic that the Bible doesn't cover. And so I always tell people, like, go to the beginning, the author and perfecter of my faith. It's like, these people that write self-help books, do their lives reflect that they've helped themselves? No. None of us can help ourselves, right? None of us. But the Bible can. And so usually, like, I tell my clients I'm very open about my faith. Until California shuts me down, I'm going to be open about my faith. But literally, for every single situation, there's a Bible verse or a chapter that covers it. Hands down. You want to talk about masks? I'll find you, I will find you the authority on that. But there's no topic that the Bible does not cover.
Look, I have no problem with it. I did not, I haven't spoken to you in 3.5 years.
I know. I'm going to make you read the book of John. Pick up the book of John and you start there.
If you can get me to read, that's going to be a task within itself because I don't have the time to the focus. I think it's the focus. I'm a what do they call that? Kinetic person. Mm-hmm. I'm sitting, even when I was touring, when I was, back in the day when I was on the road a lot and things like that, I couldn't have the patience. I was on airplanes a lot, bored to death. I could not focus to read for a long period of time. It's just not.
You can listen. You
can do an
audiobook.
Audiobooks. Mm-hmm. Thank God for audiobooks. Look, thank God for audiobooks because that helps. But back in the day, there wasn't as much of that, and it was just different. And now, I'm wearing a lot of hats, and so if you can get me to read, you get the grand prize.
I'm gonna send you the link to the book of John. You just have to listen to it because, man, that's a good book. Well, it's a good book.
The good book of John, of course.
Yep. Start with him. It's called, it's the gospel because none of this matters here. Governor Gavin Newsom can do whatever he wants to any of us. It doesn't matter.
I know, but we're still here, and I don't want that.
Yeah,
you know
it
what
sucks. And
Yeah.
I'm a lawyer, so I think, the Bible does say, you're put in a role. So if I wasn't a lawyer, I probably would just pray and just leave it in God's hands. But I think for me, I'm a lawyer, so it's like, that's why I fight so hard. And by fighting, I mean like I inform. And so I have a blog, I always write about things, and but I am very aware that you and I, if we talk about certain topics, we get censored. So like I've lost a lot of followers because I'm pro-life. I've lost a lot of followers because I speak on certain topics that everybody else is afraid. I have a lot of friends that are like, hey, Kelly, I have an anonymous Twitter account. Oh, and I'm like, that's so sad. Do we not have free speech? Right?
No, we have the free speech, but the thing is, people are just, again, some of your closest friends. And I got a lot of friends that I love very much. And I say this all the time because especially when I do shows on my own, it gives me the whole show to bitch about what's going on, current events.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a lot of people that I know that, and I love them. I've known them for years. I mean, we're not, but I know they'll cut you out in a heartbeat. It's like, bye-bye. I don't like what you're saying. And I don't just when they say, just unfriend me. And I don't want to do that over
I
this.
don't either.
It's just sad, but I believe in what I believe in. And if you got something against, that you disagree with, I can't get the people who disagree with me to come on my show. They'll write me nasty letters, but they will not come on this show. They'll just comment, after the fact. And I just want to know why, you feel like you feel. I want to hear it. Maybe I'll learn something, but I'm not saying I'm, right all the time or this and that. I just believe that I am, and that's my belief. So, but I'm not going to hate you because you don't, like me or don't believe what I believe. But I just get out here and try, and I'm not going to back down either. There's no backing down. I have this voice, and I was given this platform, and I feel like if I didn't stand up and say something, it's like shame on me. Because to me, I just want to help.
I think it's really sad when, one side is trying to silence because it's like they want their narrative to come across. And so they're actually like hiding information. And I don't like that. I think the information should be upfront. It should be truthful. And then people should make their own determination. But right now there's an attack on truth, and there's an attack on people that think a different way, so.
I think they truly think theirs is the truth, and we're the ones, they're that firm a believer. We're butting heads, and it's like, we're the crazy ones. They're speaking the truth. How can you not see it? The ones, especially when they tell you, it's like, our economy's growing. We're doing better than we ever have. And
we're not.
I'm going, what? Excuse me. Just where are you seeing our economy doing better than it ever has? Please help me to understand, because I don't mind being wrong. I really don't, but show me. And nobody shows me. They just get pissed off and then they quit talking to me. And I hate that.
And it's also like, I think a lot of times people just do things because it's the mainstream thing to do. And they don't understand that they're playing into the narrative. So here's an example. Like, virtually everybody puts like their pronouns in their bio, right? And I won't do it because not because I want to like, be a pick me, which is like special for, I'm not doing it because I want to be special. No. I'm not doing it because it feeds into their narrative. I won't do it because there's no such thing as transgender. I mean, there might be, like, you might be depressed or something. And I think gender dysphoria affects like 0.001%. There's like studies, but the fact that it's like massively inflicting children, like, that's not a real thing. It's not a real thing. And the fact that you're going to do that just pushes the narrative. And so I won't do it.
I saw it on LinkedIn years ago when everybody started doing the him, her, or him, he, whatever the heck it is.
Do it.
And now I'm looking, and now I think a lot of people caught on. Like, I think they jumped on the boat because they wanted to like appease everybody. But now I'm seeing some people like getting off of that whole thing. But I have to look when I'm going, and the minute I see she, her, or him, he, I'm going, okay, I got to watch where I step when I talk to this person, because
But see, why? It's like, just because, so I knew these little girls, right? And their whole lives I've known them. And then all of a sudden they want to identify by a new name and a new pronoun. And it's like, I guess if I don't, part of me is like, I love you the way that you are, and their argument makes no sense, which is like, if gender is a spectrum, it doesn't exist. Okay, so if it doesn't exist, why are you changing your sex? Like, I don't get it. Like, which way is it? Like, it's a spectrum, so it doesn't matter, or you're going to have to now cut off your breasts because it does matter. Which one is it? And in any case, children shouldn't be cutting off anything because they're children.
Well, yeah, they don't have any sense yet. Their brain has not. You're right. They haven't developed yet. They'll regret down the road but that's the thing. We're back to my whole show revolves pretty much around the common sense part. It makes no sense to be talking all this stupid stuff that is totally, it has nothing to do with anything, but yet they're doing it because they can. And they want you to respect it because they're doing it because they can. And I don't care. I just don't care. There's way other things to worry about. But
I care about children. I care about children's mental health.
Oh, no, about children, absolutely.
And so I know during COVID, there was a lot of girls, there's a lot of like sadness and they want to cut themselves and stuff like that. But I just think like adding that whole layer of like, I'm not really a girl. I'm a furry or whatever. It just, what? Like it just because you think you are doesn't mean that you are, and then you see these videos of like trans men, or I forget which one it is, but there's like, I saw this video of this guy and he was huge and I guess he was identifying as a girl. And so the shop owner was like, sir. And he's like, it's ma'am.
I saw that.
Ma'am. And he's like throwing stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah. And it's like, okay, so you think you're a woman, so we have to think what you are.
Yeah, we have to play.
Then I'm the king. I'm the king. You have to call me your honor. It's like, when do we? I don't get it. And everybody feels that way because a lot of my friends text me and they're like, "Don't ever use my texts." I agree with you, Kelly, but you just can't say that. And I'm like, I can't say truth.
Yeah, we have to. We're afraid we're going to hurt. Yeah,
I don't want to hurt anybody.
That's true.
I don't.
You just got to play their mental games. It's just games. Or if they feel that way, they can feel that way. But don't. Yeah, I get it. I don't want to have to.
But it's not right. It's not right. It's not right that female athletes have to now compete against male athletes that think that they're women. It's not right. The whole reason we have a women's sports is because women are built differently than men. And that is the whole reason we have female sports. And now you have men identifying as women. It's not right. So I have a lot of friends that are female athletes and they're fighting for their cause. And why are they even fighting for this? It's a right. It's a human right. Right.
I think they're finally starting to say, okay, this is, again, everybody was so scared of offending everybody. And so everybody, but not everybody, they bowed to.
Well, I'm offended. I'm offended. I'm offended that you're twisting the truth. And now I can't say my truth. It's not even your truth, my truth. That's a whole liberal concept too. There is one truth. There's one truth. There's not a your truth, my truth. Truth is truth.
If they could get away with it, there would be, and they're trying. They want to make it, the truth that isn't the truth, and you're just going to go with it because we want it that way. But look, I'm running out of time already, and I haven't. I can honestly tell you, I was not expecting this conversation. I wasn't. I didn't know where I was going with you. I wanted to catch up with you, but I wasn't expecting, to hear so much change. To where you're shifting gears. Where do you see Kelly Chang Rickert 2 years from now? Where do you think you're going to be, and what's going to be your strongest and happy spot?
Well, I'm always most content like at home. So I think I'm always going to be a large part of my family's life, and I will continue spreading the gospel and trying to lead people to the truth. I probably see myself less fighting these social issues because I think at the end of the day, society is just slipping. And so you just have to, for me to fight all the time is exhausting.
It is exhausting.
I can't go home to my family with this fight in me. And I'm a fighter. My husband used to call me Scrappy Doo because I'm like 90 pounds. I'm always ready to fight, And so But yeah, I think I probably see myself fighting less and teaching more. So like instructing people in the truth, and things like that. There's great organizations that you can support, like Alliance Defending Freedom, ACLJ with Jay Sekulow. Like they're trying to fight for our constitutional rights. So I listen to them and I support them. But sometimes I'm like, fighting is tiring. I'd rather like write songs, worship.
Look, I had a woman on, and we were talking about ETs and extraterrestrials, and she claims to be a star seed. And and whether you believe or not, I don't think that we could be the only people in this universe. I mean, I just don't. I believe our souls, are live on and things like that. But that's my belief. But she just put it to me like this: because the controversy was whether you believe or not that there are other star systems and people that that more than just us. And she said, getting into arguments with people here, everybody has their own journey. And unfortunately, that's the way it is, because we were talking about fighting the fight, trying to get the message, and it's how grueling it is. And she just said that, some people will at least listen to you and then make a decision. And some people just won't. And you just got to let them live their own journey, and that's their path. And that's life, unfortunately. Sad, but even if they're close to you.
I see myself moving out of the country. If I can convince my husband, we would leave California in a heartbeat.
Well, that's more than just the country. Out of the state or out of the country?
Well, if Newsom becomes our president.
But I don't, just bite your tongue. Anyway, look, we are running out of time. You opened up. I had no idea what direction we were going.
I know.
You completely.
There's a good chance Newsom could be our president.
No, stop it. Stop. We're not if I can help it. Anyway, but
our votes don't count.
That is true, but I don't know if anybody in their right mind could even think that way if they see what the hell is happening with how badly our state is being driven into the ground. A state that was the greatest state out of the whole United States, that used to be the California gold, and now it's just getting to be a dump, homeless and drugs and smash and grabs, and you can't afford to even financially to be here unless you have more an abundance of money, and that's only a chosen few. But all right, look, let's tell everybody, people, if there's people that want to follow you, I mean, you're pretty heavy on all the social media platforms and all that, but we narrowed it down that you're pretty active over on Instagram. If anybody wants to see what you do and stuff, they can find you on Instagram over at lawyerkelly. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I would just recommend that you subscribe to my blog, because I write about the legal issues. I pretty much keep apprised of the legislation that's happening in California. And it's really important to read the laws. Don't just read the headlines about what CNN is saying isn't happening. It's happening.
Yeah.
The laws that are being passed are actually being passed. They're, so I don't know if you know about the parental notification policy. It was passed by Chino School District, but now they're being sued by the Attorney General. So, it's like parents have a right to know. I don't even know why we have to enact a policy to know about what's happening to our children at school, but yet they passed it and now they're getting sued.
You can't expect.
I can't believe that some of the stuff that's happening in our state is actually happening. And whenever I talk about it, I'm like, it's actually happening. People, who watch CNN don't believe it. But it's happening.
They have to talk about a lot of things on most of these media that they just don't talk about it. So how are you going to know if they don't even mention it? They just slide it on under the rug. Just keep on ignoring it and just
they talk about climate change like it's a real thing.
Don't get me started.
What's important is the fact that Kaiser's removing healthy breast tissue of 15-year-old girls. That's what you need to know. So.
Well, again, they can't know if they're not being told, and that's why we're here. But people can find you.
We're going to get censored.
No, so. Well, we might get censored, but we'll just keep on going. I don't know. I've either way, you can't. As long as I wake up every day, we have a job to do, and there we are. So we're doing it, and that's why you're here, and that's why I'm here. But people can find you over at Lawyer Kelly over at Instagram, and you're on all of them. You're a TikToker too, and.
I'm not a TikToker anymore.
TikTok
is extremely toxic. It is also a parasitic. So if you know what's good for you, delete TikTok because it's going through your phone.
Well, I think all these apps are. Honestly, I don't think Facebook. You think Facebook is any better about it? Getting information.
Well, Facebook is located in the U.S., right? The TikTok is
True.
going on in China, so you don't know what's happening. So I don't have TikTok on my phone, and I stopped being on TikTok a long time ago because
I didn't know. But I mean, okay, LinkedIn, Facebook. I found you on Threads. I think I found you on True Social too. I think, and is that true?
Yeah.
And all the anyway. Anybody looks up Kelly Chang Rickert, you're easily Googleable, and they can find you and find out more stuff and see what you're doing and keep up with you. Again, I saw you in that. I think it was one of your blogs that you were talking about, which caught my ear, and I commented on it. And this is why we're sitting here now, from a few months ago, because it's like, all right, let's talk about this, and we'll get it. Come on in.
Yeah, I think it was the laws that are being passed against vulnerable children.
Sure, because that strikes a nerve. Because I got a thing for kids. I don't think kids need to. They're just kids. Leave them out of this. You know,
exactly.
Leave them out. It's not fair, man. It's not fair at all, and it bugs the shit out of me because and that's even with the divorce. It was all about me, because I've seen so many kids get damaged through divorce, and they don't deserve it. They're just kids, and I've seen kids get wrecked. I mean, personally, and that's what really got me started my whole show, because I didn't want to see that happening, and people need to talk about it, because some people have nobody to talk to, and they're just in their own world doing what they think they're doing right is right, and it's actually very wrong. So we're good.
All right, it was great talking to you. Read the Book of John. Listen to it. Well, there's a good TV show too. It just reads the Book of John straight through, and it's just such a great book to get introduced to when you're reading the Bible.
Again, everything happens for a reason. I'll take it on a plane with me or something, or in the car. But
somewhat. I don't think things happen for a reason. There is a purpose and a plan to everything. So
okay, but I'm just saying that again, had I not, we not chimed in, we wouldn't be having this discussion. I wouldn't be finding, the shift and that you've chosen, and we're all just growing, I hope, and in a positive direction. That's super important. Again, at the end of the day, we all need to get along and just be kind to each other, because this is ridiculous what's going on. I've never in a million years would have thought that this country would start being. I think they're better off. Iraq and Iran, and they're doing a little bit better over there. At least they know.
I get along with everybody. Yeah,
I know.
I try to be as kind and loving as possible.
I get it. But
I speak truth. So if you're going to make me put pronouns, I'm not going to do pronouns. I'm sorry.
There you go. All right, one last look at Kelly Chang Rickert right here, folks, in the flesh, and I hope that everybody got something out of this conversation, and as I know that many do, because I get the comments later on. I want to thank you for taking the time. I know you got a busy schedule, and I know your life is, with between kids and family and work and all the stuff that you're doing, and you took the time, and I truly appreciate this. And again, I only hope that somehow or another we'll be doing good stuff together down the road, periodically when we can, and because life is short.
Hopefully, we're not censored.
We won't be.
Talk to you later.
We won't be. All right, wave to everybody one last time, right there.
Bye, everybody.
All right, thank you. I love you for taking the time. Thank you.
Okay, my good blog post is coming out on Friday about parental rights. So
where do they wait a minute? Where do they find the blog post?
They can go to any one of my Lawyer Kelly social media, and then the Beacons link has all my links.
Okay, I wanted to make sure I got that, and we'll post it up later, because this show will live on forever, as well as many short clips and things like that. So hope it will be spreading the word. All right, thank you.
Okay,
bye. I'll see you later. There you go. Time out. I'm running late again, but I couldn't help it. Ooh, smooth. Check her out right there. Kelly Chang Rickert, Instagram, Lawyer Kelly. She's got blogs. She's got a lot to say. I'm telling you, she's shifted gears. She's going for it. Talking about what she believes in. Gotta love her for it. Takes guts to stick up for what you believe in. Like the truth. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Don't forget, next week, let's do this. Next week, August 23rd, another good show coming up. Investigative journalist, author, She's a television news contributor, and she's got her own podcast, Gulf Coast Confidential. It's a true crime podcast about unsolved murders and things like that. Interesting to watch her stuff, and she's going to be right here on this show. Miss Molly Barrows will be on the Peter G. Show Wednesday, August 23rd. Investigative journalist and podcaster from Gulf Coast Confidential, right here. You're not going to want to miss it. I want to thank everybody for watching. Don't forget, please, if you like what you're seeing, go over to the YouTube channel and just hit subscribe. I know you can watch us from many different live streams, but I need to get the numbers up over on YouTube. Their algorithms are killing me over there. And the only way I can do it is with your help. Please do me that favor. Just Google Peter G. Show on YouTube and hit the subscribe button. It's free. And for those of you who don't have time to sit and watch a long-form show, I love you for the ones that do. But hey, take the show on the road. Podcast, audio podcast. Google Peter G. Show podcast. Put an earbud in your ear. You can listen to the show while you're driving, while you're at work, because work is, what is it? Boring. Just take it on the road with us. Over 300 shows, lots of topics, just like this one. And I would appreciate it. Next best thing to watching the show, okay? And what do we got lastly? Lastly, again, I want to thank Kelly Chang Rickert for being on the show. Didn't know what I was going to get. I had no idea she was making such a change in her life to hopefully enhance other people's lives. But just a reminder, life is a bitch. Be kind. Life is short. It's getting shorter. You don't have to take a bunch of crap from people, but you don't have to be an ass either. We're all in this together. I keep saying that. We need to stick together. We're stronger in numbers than them. They're dividing us. Prayers for Maui too. Prayers for Hawaii, Maui over there, because they've gotten wiped out, and there's already the conspiracy theories and the about the land grabs, and all the old got wiped out now. So now the big corporations will come in and swoop up that land. Don't let it happen. Let it stay their community. So stick together. Prayers for them and for all they've lost. You just don't know unless you're in their shoes. And thank God that you're not in their shoes, because I wouldn't want to go through what they've done. They've lost so many people and everything they've owned, and just prayers. Okay. My name is Peter G. You're watching Life of Peter G, the Peter G Show, every Wednesday, like clockwork, 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, and 9 p.m. on the East Coast. God willing, right here every week. All the shows are on demand. You can watch anything you want on all the many different platforms. I thank you for watching. I truly do. I love you for taking the time out of your life to spend it here with us. Spread the word, though. I need comments, sharing, and subscribing, please. Again, I can't say it anymore, how much appreciation I have for you guys taking the time to spend here with us. So, as always, my name is Peter G, and I love you guys. Peace out.
Peter G Show, Peter G Show, divorced dad, single dad.